Yeah.
You are a son of a bitch.
Un saluto a tutti.
All right, everybody, what's going down? Welcome back to the AJC. We're having some fun. We're singing some tunes back there in the green room. And Lex, to your pleasure, you're welcome. Usually I charge admission when I'm singing like that, but, free of charge
Voice of
today.
an angel, buddy.
Because we're in a great mood after the absolute beatdown to Salernitana. Salernitana's B-side has to be said. We'll talk about that. But nonetheless, that's what we expect to happen. And it happened. It was beautiful. There's a ton to tackle. Fans are talking about all sorts of wild scenarios now with these youngsters. And, we've got some news we're going to talk about as well. Huijsen going on loan to Roma. We get Cherubini in return. 50% sale on there. Thiago Giallo, Juve's looking at hijacking an agreement that Inter had for end of the season. And Rugani's contract extension. So there's a lot of news to talk about on the backside of tackling this game, okay? But a lot of good stuff. And, man, I got to say, what a welcome surprise that game was. 6-1. Who had that on their bingo cards yesterday? And you had 6-1? Absolutely not. No chance. No chance. But we're going to have some fun tackling this one, you guys. Going to say what's up to everybody in here. James Lapierre pointing out that obviously Fabrizio Romano, even the part-time Interista, raving about Yildiz. Mark, buongiorno. Ciao tutti. Tony Trim was not expecting Huijsen to Roma, but we got some cash on it. We are going to talk about the Huijsen deal and how everybody kind of feels about him heading to Roma. Seems to be some mixed feelings there, okay? Alex P, ciao, amigo. Weah, best goal last 5 years. We're going to talk about that Weah. For me, that was even better than Yildiz's
Lex
goal.
missed it.
Oh, man.
I'm so mad.
Missed the rocket.
You should have been.
Unbelievable.
Just don't go to class.
Now, Mark One saying happy with the win. I don't want to sound negative or be a yesterday played against Salernitana. We said that. I literally just mentioned that, and we are going to talk about all of this. Okay, but still a ton of positives to take out of this game, regardless of the B side and everything. But we will get into it. So 6-1, and I do have to ask the question: did we change formation?
Take it easy, Dino.
Did we change formation?
Oh, no. Did we or should we?
No, did we change formation yesterday? We won 6-1. We must have changed formation. No, we didn't do that. It must not have been Max Allegri. We must have fired him yesterday, and we must have brought in another coach to score 6 goals, because apparently it's all on the coach. No, we didn't do that either.
Okay, I see where you're going here.
The players started bagging some goals, and they should have. That was Salernitana's B side, but you know what? The execution, much, much better. The ideas, the pattern of play, we're going to get to it all right? We're going to get to it all. We can do this against their A side this Sunday.
You can do it.
We're going to talk about it. So, starting lineup. Perin, Gatti, Bremer, Danilo, Cambiaso, Miretti, Locatelli, Rabiot, Illing Jr., Milik, Chiesa. Had no problems with that starting lineup. We talked about it going into it. Absolutely fine. Going to get some guys a chance in Coppa Italia. Illing Jr. has been waiting for minutes and everything. Miretti kind of reintroduced into this game. Cambiaso coming back will be a good surprise. And he's just... that's the Cambiaso yesterday. That was the Cambiaso at the start of the year. Then he kind of had that lull, but he's... that's what we need out of him. I'm very, very impressed with Cambiaso when he's on his game like that. We're going to get through the highlights because there's so much to talk about here, everybody. But a minute in, massive, massive props, okay? Because you feel your team might be flat, okay? And you say, you know what? Let me give this guy
Let's charge him up.
And let's go, okay? So Gatti's like, I'm going to give you a gift. I'm going to get you guys 1-0 up so that at least I can pick my team up so we know to get after it. Yeah,
we are not in this game.
Not the case. He flat out fucked that up. That was brutal. Oof.
Yeah, that was not good at all.
It looked like he slipped up when he was trying to, but still the wrong play. Just pump it up the sideline.
What a pass, though.
Keep
You know how hard it is to make that pass over a defender that close? That is
left foot too. Beautiful assist.
left foot.
It was a hell of an assist. And you know what? Out of all
Tech would have
this,
stopped it.
I really, really fucking feel for Phenom, man. Your first action of the season, and your teammate does this in a minute to you, and you're just like, oh, like that's a clean sheet game for him all over. But to be honest,
In 2 minutes.
that was a very, very bad decision from Gatti early on. And then for a bit after, he tried to do way too much to try and, make up for it and whatnot. And it's like, just relax. We got this. It's going to be okay. But a brutal, brutal mistake that simply can't happen. Nonetheless, Salernitana 1-0 up. But if you're going to make a mistake, get it out of the way early. And if it costs you, so at least you have the entire game to make up for it. But make up for it, we did. Okay,
This is
so
Pedin's,
again,
third match of the year. He does have one clean sheet against Empoli.
and it looked like Gatti was kind of slipping there. So to even be looking for the foul and arguing, I agree with the people in the chat here. It's very, very disappointing for the pissing and moaning to the ref. Like, dude, you flat out messed up. What I do want to point out that I loved, aside from the shit that it was, Danilo ran into that net, picked the ball up, and sprinted it up to the half line. Not giving anybody time to think about it or anything, and just saying, let's go, forget about it. Like, I don't even want to talk about it or anything. And that's why kind of plays into Gatti pissing and moaning there that I didn't like. Danilo grabs that ball, sprints it to the half line, says, let's go, forget about it. And I love that from Danilo, so big props there to him.
Poor Pedin, but Tech would have had it. Tech would have saved.
Oh, man, you're going to go. Omer, somewhere right now is
I can only say that because Omer's not here.
He's just sitting there. He's that shaking hand meme. He's so friggin' mad.
His hands are shaking.
Love it. Now, 11 minutes in, all right? So Chiesa was brilliant yesterday. Like, he was cooking.
Yeah, unbelievable.
He was cooking. And he should. Salernitana's B-side, okay? But working on the left flank. Cross to the back post, Cambiaso headed in, and Miretti comes in, gets it back. We're 1-1 level, and they clean up for Gatti's mistake there. So beautiful goal there. 34th minute, we get corner kick.
That goal reminds me of one of Dybala's old goals. Remember when he smashed it into the ground and into the top of the net? Was that against Roma when he scored?
I feel like it was against Sassuolo, but I could be wrong.
You know what I mean? Tough for a goalie to stop that when he's expecting it to come straight.
And his was a little further out. Dybala's closer to the top of the 18, I'm pretty sure. More central. And yeah, that was a hell of a hit. Nice goal. 34th minute, we get a corner kick and headed to the back post by Danilo, and Cambiaso, kind of the same shot. Hits it on the volley, bounce in, goes in, back post, 2-1 up. Beautiful.
Okay, can we let's just pause down for a second. You know how hard it is to hit that high of a side volley at that angle? That's not easy. Okay, the goalie was a little out of position. He was hugging the post a little bit too much, but that was a hell of a finish. A lot of people weren't giving that finish enough credit. Yeah. That was a hell of a finish by Cambiaso. I'm just going to say that.
It was a hell of a finish. It was great.
I agree.
And Soiree always giving the love to Chiesa there. That's what I expect Chiesa to do. But we have some interesting takes on Chiesa that Soiree you might not like. All right, these were coming in from fans of the show and Juventini out there. We'll talk about it. Now, 42nd minute, Chiesa strips the ball, drives it to the end line, low, hard cross right on the carpet, finds Miretti. He's got to bury that one. He should have been on the brace at the end of the first half. Does force the keeper into a save, but a little bit of hesitancy there maybe. I expect that to go in the back of the net. Am I too harsh there? I think that's got to go in the back of the net. A little too harsh?
He did well to turn.
Kind of like,
He did well to turn the defender there. Should have put it higher. Goalie made a hell of a save. Came across. Miretti saw open net. That's what he saw. He saw an open net, and when he hit it, the goalie showed up. So,
okay,
maybe a little harsh on the kid.
Okay, all right.
If it's Vlahovic, got to be in the back of the net. Miretti.
Now at halftime, 2-1 up. I gotta say that was a very enjoyable first half of play, though. From what we were doing, guys were cooking. Cambiaso and Chiesa stood out to me. And good half. I said there's no reason we can't seal this one early in the second half. Seal it, take care of business, we move on. And 53rd minute, Chiesa again, just cooking. Cooking gets another cross in there, headed by, I believe it was Gatti, forced to save, and right to Rugani. He almost just catches it in stride and takes it in. And there you go. Okay, so 3-1, that seals it. But Juve says no.
Sorry, that was a Milik header.
Milik header. Okay, thank you. And Juve says no. We're not done.
No.
Okay, we're not done.
No.
74th minute. Juventus win the ball back again. Salernitana was so bloody poor in possession. It has to be said. We were winning the ball at ease, okay? And we continue to do so.
They're basically playing me and you.
In this sequence,
Juve was playing me and you. That's who they were playing. Come on.
Well, it's not quite up to my standard. Okay, so speak for yourself, pal.
What are we even doing here?
Now, we strip the ball. We find Milik at the top of the area. He has an option. Yildiz, who came in for Federico Chiesa, continuing to be that switch up to him, which has worked out great, which I have absolutely no problems with. And all of a sudden, everybody forgot about those words that Max said about 2 games doesn't make you a champion. Hey, he's not playing, whatever. Well, here he is. Okay, so Yildiz finds him there. He's got to score this, but he gets stopped. Ends up being an own goal. Okay, he still sells it a little bit, and I'm fine with that. Okay, but I want to see that. I want to see that hit clean, a clean goal. But he says, you know what, Berto, don't worry about it, because I got you. And in the 87th minute, Yildiz goes off. This goal was unreal. I don't care if you're playing B-side Salernitana. This was beautiful, okay? Yeah. Starts off with 2 men marking him on the byline, okay? On the sideline there. Wow. Great finish. And then when you think he's going to go far post on the cut, boom, sharp and inside. Reminds me a lot of kind of some of the goals Dybala used to bag too. Sneaking in there and then going short side. But
Yildiz just retired those 3 players. They're not coming back ever again. Poor guys.
They're
retired.
Posterize those guys. Posterize them. Sick goal, okay? And Juve wasn't done.
Not even done yet. Not even
Timothy
close.
Weah decides from about 30 out, he's going to slash this thing, bar down, freezing the keeper. Are you kidding me?
That's our goal of the year.
Yeah, insane.
It's going to be tough to top that one. I know it's Salernitana's D side. I get it.
So
nobody is stopping that, and that's our goal of the year.
I said this was the best goal of the game, and some were saying, man, Yildiz, but I'm sorry. I'm a sucker for hits from range, and that was just ridiculous. In stride on the run. That thing was shot out of a cannon, man.
Yeah.
And inch perfect, bar down. The keeper literally can't even move. So much pace. That was sick goal. And I love the emotion from Weah. Hey, so showing his emotion for his first actual competitive goal for Juventus. Beautiful stuff. 6-1 rout. Woo! And a couple of the AJC didn't get to catch a game, saw the scoreline after thinking, what the hell did I just miss? Oh,
and
yeah.
Luca's like, I forgot we had a game today. What a, my God.
Yeah, unreal.
Quebec's like a black hole.
This game, though, absolutely unreal. Happy to see it.
It's true, Alex. I'm in a good mood today, buddy.
Much needed. Now, you know, we got to talk performances and everything. If you had to pick your man of the match in this one, I want to know who you got. So we're going to start off with Anthony. Your man of the match in this game.
I just want to say that from minute 1.5 on, I thought Gatti really redeemed himself after that, whatever that was. I thought he got a lot better as the game went on. Right? Maybe sometimes he tried to do too much. We were talking about this a bit in the green room. He tried to do a little bit too much to get back in the game, but I thought he was fine the rest of the way through. Man of the match, geez, I don't know. Locatelli locked everything down. I thought Miretti had a good game. But just like, he was everywhere. Chiesa was everywhere yesterday. And again, it's Salernitana's F side. I get it. But for me, it was Cambiasso, man. He had a good game too. I'm going to go with Chiesa on this one.
You're going Chiesa?
A good show. Yeah.
I'm going Cambiaso for me. For me,
Hmm.
Cambiaso was the man of the match. I just think he was doing all the right things, all the right decisions. Easily the best we've seen from Cambiaso, and I'm looking forward to more. I've got Cambiaso. Lex?
Those are my top two as well. I'm gonna have to go with Cambiaso because, as you said,
Hmm.
just from the start of the match to the end, he was like near perfect. Like he had the game of his life. Like I went back and rewatched some of it as well, and it's just all of his movements, the way he played, his assists, his goal, like everything. I had to give it to him.
Who had the
Yeah.
highest? I know we don't put a lot of weight into these things, but who had the highest sofa score rating?
I'm literally just pulling it up. I do
I
like
would
the
assume
acknowledgement for Locatelli's game yesterday because I do think he
he.
had
w-
a
So
good game.
he's had a bit of a, as you looked it up, Locatelli's had a bit of a lull lately. I'd say he's been slightly below his standard. I think we've been expecting a lot more of Locatelli, and again, that's Salernitana's G side. I get it, but
The highest
I
rating
thought Locatelli
was
had a great game yesterday.
the
Yep.
highest rating was Manuel Locatelli
I was gonna
Hmm.
say.
at 8.4. Second, Andrea Cambiaso 8.2. Danilo 8.2. Yildiz for his game, shocking sofa score, and again 7.8. I don't know how you're not in there when you literally at the end of own goal and score that second. So nonetheless, yeah,
What did Chiesa have
Locatelli
on
had
there?
a strong showing for him. But I agree with your
Who
point,
cares?
Ant, that there's more there, and that's what
Holy shit!
frustrates
Right,
me the
Lex?
most about
Good.
Locatelli. There's more there. We
Hmm.
know he's capable of more. You just gotta keep bringing it. But a great, great positive game. We want to talk about some of these other performances. You mentioned
Hmm.
Gatti kind of cleaning things up. Had a good discussion with Alex, who's in the chat here yesterday, about Gatti immediately after it happened, and frustrating. I just said, I'm kind of okay with it, like it felt like it was a moment where he almost was still playing with those steel toes from his bricklaying days, for God's sakes, okay? Like he forgot to take the steel toes off. Check his fucking feet. Does he have the cleats on? But
What
it's
a
a brutal
pass!
mistake, but overall, everything he brings, I'm okay with dealing with his mistakes. The brutal thing is that his mistakes are like really, really bad and dangerous. So the question comes up, do you feel like it's an overconfidence thing? Because also when we take a look at like the Sassuolo has been the only blackout this season. Was
Yes.
that an overconfidence thing as well from early on in the season with a positive start, and then all of a sudden you get slapped by Sassuolo, and then Max has to rein everybody in again? Maybe an overconfidence thing with Gatti too. I don't know.
Lex,
I don't know. I have a theory. Maybe he forgets where he's at on the field. Because like he joins attacking plays. Like we always joke, I'm
all
like
the
he was a
time.
midfielder in his past life. Like we're like got to the attacking center back. I'm like maybe I feel like maybe that safety mechanism's like skewed a little bit. Maybe he doesn't have that
It's
like
broken.
extra safe protection that some of the other center backs maybe have, like just coming up with some possible reasoning for as to why, like similar to what you said about overconfidence. Maybe it's just his mindset's prioritizing moving the ball and getting the ball into attack, and he's not really completely thinking all the time.
You almost
I
won
don't
a
know.
PK right there. Somebody mentioned
Yeah.
that.
He did
Oh,
almost
crazy
win it
son of a
right
bitch.
back immediately, but this is so accurate.
Yeah.
Gatti can take you through all the emotions in a matter of 5 minutes, like the absolute best and the absolute worst. But again, if I
Has he
look
had?
if I look at this player's journey,
Hmm.
I have a little more tolerance for him and his growing pains as
Hmm.
opposed to guys that have kind of had a smoother path and been around like longer in the higher tiers of Italian football. Is that fair? Or am I just being way too protective of Gatti? I think it's
Has he
fair.
been that like? Okay, the Sassuolo thing, whatever. Yesterday, that mistake, whatever. The team rebounded well, but has he been that bad? Like when are his lows other than those two? or have his lows been that bad? Like I'm not seeing that. Like he hasn't been our best defender consistently, okay, but I don't think he's hurt us as much as people want to make it out.
I
I'm
I
missing
guess
something
the
here.
way I put it for myself is that I expect more polishing out of a guy that took the route he did to get to Serie A.
Fair
Okay,
enough.
and I think if we can polish that up, which we should be able to, if we can polish Gatti up, I think you have one hell of a player there because
Yes.
he's got all the other intangibles that you're looking for. I'm not I'm not saying he does not make the errors. Obviously he does, but what I'm saying is, yeah, there's going to be polishing that has to happen there, but I'm not ready to just say that's it or whatever. I think his
Defenders don't
highs,
come
I
into their
think there's
prime for
been
another
more
5 years.
positives than
He's fine.
negatives with Gatti. Is that fair? Lex, you think there's more
Yeah,
positive than
Lex, go
negative?
ahead.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure. I mean, like you said, he can make or break the game. And, I'll take someone that has that ability to do either, I guess, versus someone who just kind of is there. So I guess that I'll take it, like you said, Al, especially if it's something that can be polished. Like he's still got potential. He's got lots of time to build experience.
Yeah.
He offers
Now,
so much more going forward than any other defender we have.
Agreed.
Let me think about that for a second. In the attacking zone, he's our best defender. If that's even a right statement.
yeah, but the main thing has to be the defensive side, and when you have
I think
blunders, that like I
fine.
get it because
Still has
that's
time.
got to be number one. That's kind of like a luxury when they get better at attack there. But I'm gonna back them. I'm gonna keep backing them. Okay,
Sure.
no problems with Gatti. Just leave the steel toes at home next time, brother. Okay, now. We got to get to some other players that we saw playing here and their performances. There was a question earlier on asking about Federico Chiesa's. What was his rating? His rating was 7.8, the same as Phenom Yildiz, okay? If you want the rest of the ratings, here we go. Pedin, 6.4. Holy Christ. Get the guy. He had no work. Gatti, 6.4.
Literally.
Rugani, 7.4. We said Danilo 8.2, Cambiaso 8.2, Miretti 7.7, Locatelli 8.4, Rabiot 7.4, Illing Jr. 6.8, Milik 7.5, and then Chiesa 7.8. For guys that came in as
7.5.
subs, Kostic 6.7, Vlahovic 6.6, Nonje, who we'll talk about, 6.5. Yildiz 7.8 and Weah 7.2. I want to talk about Illing Jr., okay? What was everybody's thoughts? Live chat, and everybody please take a second, like the video while you're in here, okay? What was everybody's thoughts on Illing Jr. and his game yesterday?
Who's going to start this one?
Well,
Lex, go.
Sal did. And
wouldn't say
Mark
he's
1
bad.
following up.
Jeez, I wouldn't even say he was terrible.
I wouldn't say terrible. I feel that's too harsh, but I will say that I was definitely he definitely stood out as not
Underwhelming.
up to the level I expect against B-side Salernitana. I will say
I thought
that.
he was hot and cold. Let me start. I thought he was hot and cold. He would, a couple bad touches here and there. Great work rate to win the ball back that he lost. I thought that was good.
Yeah.
In sort of like the defensive phase or like the sort of his defensive phase of midfield, I thought he did a lot of good work. Going forward, he, from what I could tell, and maybe Berto, you want to add on this or subtract from it, I thought he opened up a lot of space for Chiesa. I know, Lex, we were talking about that during the game in the group chat. So maybe like a lot of the tangibles weren't really seen. I thought he was hot and cold. I'm not going to say he was
I think there was
bad.
some decisions that probably
Again, it's Salernitana's like H side. I
yeah,
get it. But
some technical things probably clean up, but like, was it enough to say he needs to be starting over Kostic? Because that's a
No.
real question. Because people are still saying, no, I'd still play him over Kostic. He's still better than Kostic. Mark disagrees, saying Kostic much better than him. Was it enough to
Lex?
change a mind of who should be starting? Lex?
It's tough because I know some people, even in my replies on Twitter, were mentioning Kostic, his stats in terms of like big chances created, assists as well, which are like, I find those crazy because I'm like, well, I didn't even compute that that's how high they were. But I think just in terms of like the eye test from when I'm watching, I did like what Iling Jr.
Just
offered
got it.
more than Kostic, just from a perspective of like Ant said about him opening up more space for Chiesa. I found that we were able to find our attacking central midfielders more. We were able to get the ball more in that area, maybe because Ailing's not left foot dominant like Kostic is, and we didn't continue to just take the ball wide. Find that when we have Kostic, we have a habit of like always taking it towards the outside and crossing it, like everyone mentions cross stitch. I found that we were able to play the ball in more centrally. We had more combinations that way. We looked
Mhm.
more dangerous. That's what my thought was. So I did like Ailing there. I liked his link up with Chiesa. I thought that he has a good combination with him. Was Illing's was it his best game? Did he make the best decisions? No, I found a lot of the times he was making the wrong decision, would lose the ball, especially in possession. If you watch back, you'd notice that he's where we lost the ball often in possession. But I
Mhm.
think that maybe just imagine how much better our game could have been if he was on his game. So I think I'd still give him a chance personally, because I know he can play better than he did yesterday. But I did like I said, that new dimension he offered on the left side for our team.
I
And that's the
think
trade-off, right?
I think I will still say he deserves more minutes than he's getting, but for me,
Agreed.
Kostic is still the top on that side, personally. And the biggest thing for me is it's more having Cambiaso out on the pitch. Because if you're going to have, one side, well, Weah is going to be somebody that's interesting. He's got to kind of pick this up and go from here. He can make things interesting. McKenny is almost made himself a name that has to be on the team sheet in the big games.
Unbenchable.
Right
Benchable.
wing back, but Cambiaso is cooking on the right side. But our
Yes, sir.
midfield needs a little bit of variety. So things are going to get interesting. The best part about this, Max has options. I think we can
Uh-huh.
all agree. Max has options available to him.
Yes.
Weah, we should see a little bit more. He could play right side. Weah's actually played left side. His goal came off the left side yesterday. He could play both sides. Cambiaso can play left or right. Kostic, left. Iling Jr. has only played left for yeah, Kostic left side.
Oh, man.
Iling Jr. has said he can also play on the right side. I think Iling deserves some more minutes here and there, but for me, Kostic is still above him. However, things can get interesting because McKennie almost can't be denied in this setup. And whether it's midfield or right wing back, for me, if Rabiot's out there, I like McKennie as right wing back if he's going to play. But Cambiaso can't be denied, and Kostic is proving to be pretty important for balance overall on the side. The other thing, I do want to talk about Nonje. Okay, I just want to quickly shout that I think he is incredibly intriguing as a young player. All right, Nonje showed a little bit of chops yesterday. I liked what I was seeing. Again, Salernitana's what side, Anth?
J. J
J.
side.
So Salernitana's J side. But I do think there's an intriguing player there for us. Okay. Now, what I want to talk about is Yildiz. We got to talk about Yildiz. Okay.
Okay.
It's just it's blown up. It's getting crazy. He keeps delivering. I have absolutely no problems with him and Chiesa being the changeup. But what I said, and everybody that's obviously followed the show, followed me, seeing the TikTok, seeing the shorts, in mid
TikTok.
October, I said, give this guy a shot behind our two strikers. Just try it. 2-man pivot, just try it. For me, this team screams setup for a 2-man pivot. Is still in this 3-5-2 setup. Yesterday, we were practically there.
Mm-hmm.
Rabiot and Locatelli operated as a 2-man pivot because whenever Miretti's in there, we sacrifice Rabiot because Miretti is the one getting way advanced and Rabiot kind of holds things down with Locatelli. We're practically there. Are we keeping Miretti in there because of his defensive prowess? No. There is
No.
no reason in my mind Yildiz cannot play in that role, and we can keep Chiesa and one of our strikers up top there, for me, it's worth a shot. Now, the main arguments against it that have come at me are, why would you mess with a winning formula? We don't have to. We don't have to mess with a winning formula. You could switch into this with one sub, even if you're up a goal or 2 goals, to see what develops, see what happens.
That never happens.
I'm not even worried about messing with the winning formula because Miretti and Yildiz, that's not a crazy shift. We're talking about literally one player substituting in and out to maybe give us that attacking prowess, because everybody's asking the question, why can't we do this in Serie A? I will tell you right now, everybody, Sunday's game will be completely different than the game you just watched.
Exact opposite.
It will be completely different. So for me, what's the harm in trying it? Yes, points are important, all this. If you don't feel comfortable starting off with it, which I would, at least substitute into it to just see it. Do you guys agree with me that we should try that, or keep rolling with them substitute, which I'm also okay with, because I think Chiesa, and I've said it since day one, they should at least be the only substitutes. Never substitute Chiesa or Yildiz for another striker. Those two change amongst each other. Agree, disagree?
Well, I would agree with it. But, old guys like me and Max, it's tough to get us out of our ways. You know what I mean? And for Max to do that in a Serie A game, I don't think it's going to happen. But one thing that just kind of popped in my head to think about how impressive it is. Opponents know what Max is going to do game in and game out. Opposing coaches know that this is the formation he's putting out. These are the players he's putting out, and they still can't break it down. So that's quite impressive. Everybody has the book on Max. They know what they're getting. For Max to change it up would be like, I don't even know what that would be like for him to be able to do that. I would love to see it.
I don't feel like it's that crazy. And this is such a minor tweak.
It is.
Because last year we went 4-3-3 at the start.
We did.
We went into a 4-4-2. Then we landed on the 3-5-1-1, which has kind of turned into 3-5-2. We tried 3-4-3. We went through 4 setups last season. So this whole notion that it's wild for Max to change, when we're talking about one player change, for me, I'm not buying it. I think we might see it. Lex?
I think I put out a tweet yesterday about it. I just think Max has got to find a way to put Chiesa and Yildiz on the field at the same time.
Does he, though?
I just want to see it. And like you said, Berto, I love that idea of Yildiz playing in behind the 2 strikers. If we roll with some type of 3-4-1-2, I think that would be an ideal setup. And I think the fact that we now have Yildiz and Miretti that could play in that role behind the striker, now you have depth there. And as you said, Berto, it's not that big of a change from what we have been doing. And I think it's just something that needs to happen. I'd be really intrigued to see how that would run for our team.
Yeah. And I understand this because Miretti hasn't been playing for quite some time. So McKennie is seen as this midfielder or whatnot. But for me, it's Rabiot and McKennie sharing 2/3 of the midfield is redundant and doesn't need to happen. And I've said this entire season, I think McKennie's done better at right wing back. Okay. Which brings up a whole different scenario with Cambiaso doing very well on the right side, but I have no problems deploying him on the left side either. And if I think about this, for me, if I'm looking at this, Cambiaso and Chiesa will still get that freedom that he was getting from Illing Jr., but I think Cambiaso is definitely ahead of Illing Jr. Is that a fair statement to make?
Yes.
Cambiaso ahead of Illing Jr. Yeah. So we have a lot of options, but I don't see this tweak as anything crazy. And again, if we're the 3-4-3 people are talking about, I don't want to see that. And the reason I think where you place the player is so important, because we saw 3-4-3 last year. The two-man midfield gets blown up for us, okay? And Rabiot and Locatelli were blown up last year. You still have to have that little bit of support in the middle there, like Miretti brings. Okay, but for me, if you're talking about defensive abilities between Yildiz and Miretti, Miretti's maybe barely ahead of him. You just need enough support there that there's a body, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why 3 4
Yeah, get
1
in the
2.
way.
I agree with Lex there. But it's going to be interesting to see what Max does. Will he mess with things just to try it? I don't know. And to be honest, it's not the worst if he doesn't try. It's not the worst if he doesn't try it. Chiesa and Yildiz substituting each other, brilliant. I have no problems with it. Okay?
Zero issues with that.
But I just think, and Sunday's game's going to be different. It's not the craziest thing to try to just push this team towards bagging some more goals to be a little more comfortable. Getting
If you're
chances
ever
a
going to
little
do
better.
it, if you're ever going to do it, to your point, you would do it now because like you just faced a team and you want to try and mix it up. Like you faced them 3 days ago,
Yeah.
so they may, they understand your team's speed. They've matched up player for player. So if you want to switch things up, probably this is the game you would want to do it.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing. The young guys in general, young guys and hype and everything has been a thing.
Take it easy,
and,
everybody.
I had no problems with what Max decides either way. And I did say this. So this is not anything to jump onto the hype train for Yildiz. It has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with trying to get this team to take that next step, because the immediate question after this game, why can't we do it in Serie A? Why can't we do it against the clubs or be as imposing? Well, I think it takes a tweak like this where you just get that extra bit of vision and talent and creativity in your lineup. We have all agreed and been saying it all season long. We need to ramp up the creativity. You have a piece right there. This guy can dribble players. The second you beat a man, another thing I've been saying, with our main 1A lineup that we've been going with, we lack a guy that can win 1v1s outside of Federico Chiesa. You add one more player that can do that, it's all the world of difference. The biggest thing is maintaining the balance.
He does.
I think this does it. But, whatever.
McKinney
Young guys. There's been a question, and I'm actually surprised at how many have said they feel the freedom. Swarit, watch yourself.
Say it. Everybody
They
buckle
feel
up.
the freedom to sell Chiesa. And I was asked the question, if you had your choice to keep only or sell one out of these three, you have to sell one. Sule, Yildiz, and Chiesa, who are you taking? I said Sule. I didn't even think twice about it. And I was met with many that said, Federico Chiesa, I will keep the young players. Ooh. Anth, those three players, got to sell one.
Okay, so we talked about this 2 shows ago, I think. I got on this, and I said next summer, hey, sorry everybody, Sule's getting sold, right? He's getting sold. He's the only he is the highest value young player that teams willing to sell. We're not selling Yildiz. It's not happening. But the player that would garner the most income would be the sale of Chiesa. And I was like, he's our only world-class player on this team.
Are you making that call, though, if you're in control? These three guys got to sell one.
His sale, I said last time, his sale would allow us to retool in multiple positions. It would suck. I would probably cry a little bit. I don't cry over players, so that's a lie. I wouldn't cry. I would do it. I would do it and not look back.
So you would keep Sule and Yildiz and sell Chiesa. You're good with that?
If we can we don't have a lot of money to spend, and the most money coming. I'm looking at it as strictly a business decision.
Yeah,
strictly business. His money would be the most. We'd be able to retool better with his sale, and more quickly. So I would do it.
Lex,
I wouldn't. I just can't. I would not be able to do that.
Take emotion out of it.
Even emotion aside, I think
Mm-hmm.
that the way Sula is performing at Frosinone, I think, like Berto mentioned, he would garner a decent offer.
Justin.
I think in terms of those three, it would have to be Sule. It breaks my heart as well, but that's also my answer. I think Kies is just our guy. He's the face of the club. He's a player that I think gains the most respect from rival fans,
Absolutely.
from clubs outside of Italy. They all know Chiesa being as our guy. They all rate him.
Mm-hmm.
And I no, this doesn't mean we should sell him though,
No.
personally. But I don't know. I just think even yesterday, for example, yesterday's game, like he ran the team, like he was everywhere, and it was one of those
Yep.
performances that's not picked up by stats. Like that was purely eye test. But if you watched the game, like we all agreed on this as well. Like he was all over the pitch. I think you take him away, I think we have a much different game.
Yeah.
Maybe not much different, but I still think that he's too valuable to get rid of.
Yeah. Alex, we don't make decisions on what Chihuahuas yip about. We
Not
don't do that. But the Chiesa
Good thing.
sale. Okay, let's talk about this. So I agree. I agree with James Lapierre saying it could be a risk management thing. I agree that the value is there. And I will say this. It has to be a very solid offer, okay? I think that a lot of our players, and I said this, 2 shows ago, everybody's in play. So show me the money. And if
Everybody.
Chiesa's got to go, I
Mm-hmm.
want to see enough to actually be able to retool. I don't want to see a
Exactly.
mediocre forward come in and a mediocre
Mm-hmm.
midfielder come in. I want to see a guy that, because right now Chiesa is our best attacking player. He is.
Agreed.
Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to see that moved on for maybe Sule can do this another season. Can he do it at Juventus?
Mm-hmm.
Still in question. I don't want to see that be a move and then all of a sudden we get Felipe Anderson coming in and like a basement. Like, no, there's retooling, but you still have to find a way to keep these guys around. So while we're talking about Yildiz, some are saying this gives me the freedom to move Chiesa. Hell no. It doesn't give me that freedom. I want to see
Nope.
both of them thrive at Juventus. We should look at boosting as much talent possible and having depth. So we have sales to make. For me, the big name that we need to push, and I know that yesterday the noise was he is not for sale. Take everything with a grain of salt, everybody, okay?
One grain of salt.
Vlahovic would be a move that makes the most sense for Juventus. It's not going to bring us a value back with a lot of capital to retool the team, but it's something we got to look at. Now, as far as the Chiesa thing is going to run wild, I understand people, some now are saying they're okay with moving him. I'm not there. Absolutely not. Okay? Absolutely
You have
not.
to take into account. Hang on a sec. Also take into account. We could, and this was something I think Lou brought up. So this is an original thought from me. We could have another Dybala situation on our hands with Chiesa, dragging out the extension. He doesn't want to sign, so he's signed right now till 2025. Next summer may be the time to sell him. I'm not saying that they're going to. I'm not saying that the extension won't get redone, right? But there is a time component to this. There is, if he doesn't re-sign before the end of this season or next summer could be the time to sell him, or else he's a dead man walking on his last year of a contract.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And
you want him to leave for free, everybody? Oh, but he was such a great player. Let him go for free.
but
Mm-hmm.
we don't but a lot of what's being said is that it's going to be a 1 year with something long term at the backside of it. So
Yes, gotta
we
gotta
still
get
have
something
to we
done.
still have to wait and see. My point still stands that we have to raise the overall quality of this team. We
Yes, we
can't
do.
keep getting rid of star players and then doing patchwork, which we did for years in our midfield. That midfield we all dreamed about. Well, you kept seeing quality guy go and freaking patchwork coming in. At some point, we have to take that next step. There was a comment on Twitter that somebody had posted how happy they are to see all these young guys come into Juventus and start to finally get opportunities. And it was retweeted by somebody, and he stated, I can't remember who he stated, it's not for the good. Okay? Sorry to tell all of you, it's not for the good that we're seeing all these young guys. I remember the only young guys that should be playing at Juventus are guys with Ballon d'Or potential, that level potential. Now, I understand what he's trying to say. It was met with a lot of criticism, obviously, and saying, you know what,
Obviously.
I'm sorry, this is the new Juventus. You guys, it's kind of Juventus right now because we're rebuild. We're rebuild. We're transitioning.
Mm-hmm.
Juve needs to get back to that point if we want to be serious about our club and where we hold ourselves on as far as standards and where we want to be amongst the giants of the game. We have to be serious. Your top quality players has to be boosted at Juventus, okay? And with the young guys, I love what they're doing with next gen. I love all of that. It's great. That's where your bargaining chips come into, okay? And the guys that deserve to be around, like a Phenom Yildiz, who's obviously got something there, those guys will find a way into the team. Okay? They will find a way in. As far as this whole situation with Juventus and the young players, we do kind of have to keep calm and stay grounded and see what develops. But top quality for me, Chiesa can't go. He can't go. Not right now, anyways. Not right now.
This is also another case of young players being given the opportunity because of other players not being available. Like Pogba eating a bad can of tuna, and all of a sudden he's suspended for 4 years, and Fajoli can't turn off to Bet365, and he's gone for a year. If those two players are in the lineup, we probably don't see Weah as much. We probably don't see Meretti as much, right?
Yeah.
Even maybe McKennie, because Cambayasa would be on the right side. So
Caviglia, you're probably not going to see.
Right. So, oh, man, I just really think
it's because of the quality.
Have a lot
it's
of
always
work
going to be the quality, man. Always going to be the quality.
Go ahead, Lex. Lex, did you have to go? Are you still good?
In a few minutes, yeah. I have to leave in a few minutes. But before I go, I wanted to say quickly, like, I'd rather, especially like look at this group this season. Like we've spoken about the mentality shift this season and how we all feel this crew is more united, and just even the way we're playing is more inspiring. And it is coming, and it's being fueled by a lot of our young youth players, which is really great to see. And I think that for me personally, like I'd take that over maybe last season's more experienced per se, maybe like, you know, those more older talents we're looking for, like we're speaking about. Like I'd rather have this group, and if the kids are going to perform and play like that, like I say let them play, basically, you know. Like, and I understand like we want to hold and uphold a certain standard at our club in terms of like who can get in, but I think like if they're good enough and they're playing at that level, like why not? Like, and I think this is just like a new age of our program, of our next gen program, and we've all mentioned that. I think it's different, so I think it's important to note that it's not exactly a bad thing that Juve has availability and is giving opportunity to all these young players. I think it's a good thing.
Well, what it is though is a way of reacting. It's a way of reacting to the situation that's before us right now and what we're dealing with. And that's the financial ability to attack some of these players out there in the market that we would probably go for otherwise. No. But Juve did react in a very positive and smart way by setting up next gen and having these youngsters that are coming in that are game ready that can contribute. So while I do agree with the main point he's making, the quality needs to be boosted, we can't discredit what these young guys have done, because last year we would have been in worse shape without them. And we can't discredit what they're doing this year with Fajoli and Pogba getting in their situations. These guys have come in and provided a lot, so I won't discredit what they're doing. But I do agree with the main point. Our top quality needs to be enhanced. Because for me, the young guys aren't a problem. It's the guys that have been around for a while that we expect more to get going and get the job done. But we got more to talk about this. Lex, I know you got to get going, right?
I do.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. See you guys next time. Great show.
Take care, Lex. Now, just the old guys messing about now, everybody.
This doesn't work. You got to flip sides. This doesn't work for me.
No, we're not flipping sides.
We're talking about this live on the air right now. I know we are. We're flipping sides. You can do it.
I can't.
See, these are the conversations that we have. Because see, when I point, I got to now switch a hand. I point with, fine, leave it. God damn it.
Okay,
Anyways,
Walter Matthau, you
we
ready
did
to
want to
continue the show? Now,
Oh, these things fucking drive me
I would
nuts.
say you're
Okay.
Matthau and I
Now,
would be Jack Lemmon. I would say out of the two, I would be Jack Lemmon. And, he was always the funnier guy. And you're the extra grumpy. So Matthau would be you.
I'm Walter Matthau. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
We should just
Now,
do a show like that one with the
we're
hats.
going to get to one of the things that came up yesterday. And I love the Storm the Barn coming in already, you guys. Fire away whenever. I'm getting this vibe with, and I know I don't want to take it overboard. I don't want people to feel like I'm taking it overboard because of just yesterday's game. But we talk about like these guys that and the options that Max Allegri has available to him. If these guys can get it together and start cooking and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we just leave everything status quo in January, save our funds, save our money, even keep Illing around to give him some minutes, and maybe we just leave this team alone and
So
deal with everything in the
midfielder?
summer, save the funds, don't overreact or pull any strings this winter mercado. And I thought about this, and maybe, just maybe you do that. Because for me, again, I've been saying this for a while. If it's Højbjerg, if it's Phillips, if it's a guy like that, I'd rather do nothing. Caviglia can chew up the minutes. Miretti can chew up some of these extra minutes here and there. How do you feel? Maybe we should just leave this team alone. What do you think?
You want to know something, man? It seems like we got a Storm the Barn question there from Tuna Steaks. Make sure we save that. Now, I've been saying this for a while. I don't suspect that we're going to be making any changes in January. Because I've always said, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Now, you've always said, you've always said, we need one midfielder, which is fine. I agree with that. One player of the right type would help us. Now I'm leaning towards me being right again. I'm sorry. I'm the greatest of all time. I don't know what you want me to say. Based on only playing in 2 competitions, I think we have enough depth with the next gen players to keep it going. We're halfway through the season. Actually, we've only played 18 games in the city. Sunday will be halfway, 19. So I think we're fine the way we are. Save the Chicoria for the summer.
Yeah.
For when
now,
the real business gets done.
One injury in the midfield puts us in a really tough position. Does it, though? We're talking about keeping everything the same. Okay?
Yeah, I wouldn't want to discuss
everything
injuries,
the same. So McKennie's still around. Caviglia's still around. Miretti is still around. I don't think it puts us that crazy. And again, I'm going to go back to this. Phillips, Højbjerg do nothing for me. 2 guys that would do something, I feel, Samardzic and Sudakov. However, we have not tried Yildiz while still keeping Chiesa and Vlahovic or Milik, whoever the hell you want to put up there, keeping a striker up there. And until we try that, if he excels in that role, if we can work with that, we have even more depth. I'm thinking we could be just fine, okay?
And again,
the latest on Samardzic is, Napoli's making a push, but apparently his father, again, might crumble that deal. That's starting to be a red flag. This guy and his dad, I'm starting to get Dybala and his brother vibes over contract talks, whatever. I don't know what this guy wants. Keane's dad wanted a tractor or some shit. What's this guy want? Like a friggin' Ferrari? I don't know.
That's a callback to Blue Chips. What a great movie that was with Shaq Daddy.
Shaq Daddy, Blue Chips.
The other guy,
Nick Nolte. Oh,
there you go.
Psycho. Now, we got... I'm just saying, we have options. We may be just absolutely fine to get to the summer. We are not at the quality of Inter. No, we are not. We also don't need that depth in Coppa Italia and just Serie A. So that's why maybe we hang tight until the summer. I'm just saying, we could be absolutely fine. And maybe it's something to be said with not messing with anything right now. Everybody's going to have their own thoughts on that, of course, but Ant is going to say that he was right all along. And Yeah, you might just be
What
right,
else
my
is
man.
there?
You might just
Yep.
be right. You know what they say about a broken clock, right? So twice a day, still right. So let's go. Storm the bar. Now, George coming in here.
I got one to
About
start. Oh, we got one. Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Okay,
oh yeah,
that's
we
new.
got him. About yesterday's episode, John is the other guy. He was the guest. Chiesa isn't the same after the injury. Am I the only one that hasn't seen him take a step back? He is as quick, explosive, and agile as he was before. I don't see any difference, to be honest, in performance-wise. I think physically and watching him in the movements, everything's there on point. I think he's maybe saying taking a step back. I think he's thinking about the season with Pirlo numerically, statistically, versus this. But if we're talking about him and his movements and his agility and all that, it's right where it was before, in my opinion. And
I think the issue here is that he was shut down for a game 2 games ago when he was shut down, and I think that was just discomfort. I think it was minor, but a lot of people were like, "Oh, here we go," injury prone, whatever. It's a long season.
yeah,
Players need rest. Players need to get shut down. It's okay. And for him, the way he plays and the way he drives at the ball, drives to the net, it's okay to shut him down a game. It's fine. I have no
yeah.
issues with it.
Now,
I think we should be doing it more.
yeah, to kind of preserve him and help him. Yeah.
With
Well,
with all players. I think we should be cycling on a season like this. We have the young players who can pretty much fill in multiple positions. I think Locatelli should be shut down more often, not because of his play, but just because we can.
yeah, and you know what? It's
Oh, there
about
we go.
it's about the time when you need those guys and them being sharp. So Iling Jr., that's another example. Yesterday, even against Salernitana's what side? Where are we at?
K side.
So even against their K side, you know, he still couldn't really impact for me anyways. But again, maybe some more minutes leading up to that. We should still try to keep all our guys sharp. But again, points are so crucial. And right now, they might be surprised with where they're at. I don't think they should be surprised. You and I said this is what we should expect. Only one competition is be
Who's
challenging
surprised?
for that title.
You think our own players are surprised at where they're at?
I think Max might be surprised. I think Juve might be surprised that they're this tight, maybe, but they shouldn't be. But
I don't
who
think
knows?
they are. I think they're right where they. I think where they're. I don't know. That's a good
I
question.
think the expectations were always just top four. But I don't think they expected that, hey, we have a legitimate shot taking this thing down. I don't think they banked on it, to be honest.
Interesting.
Which is upsetting to hear or say or think, but I don't know. Mark 1, will Nicolucci replace Locatelli against? I would expect Nicolucci to be in there. And it's also the reason my
think that's
idea
already been
about
announced.
Yildiz, I probably wouldn't do it with Nicolucci. I believe Nicolucci can play a two-man pivot with Rabiot, no problems. But I would rather try that the first time with Locatelli and Rabiot being the two guys there, okay? But Nicolucci Caviglia should be in there, okay? Forza Juve coming in with his Storm the Barn, and we've got is Nonge the long-term solution for the attacking midfielder.
His first 2 touches yesterday were giveaways.
Can we just buy a cheap, experienced midfielder for the short term and keep the extra money from buying a young player? Look,
That's a long question.
it's tough to really state.
He's like 18, isn't he?
Nonge is a long-term. Like, these young guys are going to need loans too. Like I said, it's all about the scenario. It's all about where you're currently at. Right now, we're in a situation where they're here. They can get some minutes and stuff, but make no mistake about it. I think top quality and gradually improving.
Okay.
We had to change our complete business model, you guys. Complete business model change. It's going to be this slow build to bring in quality and, yes, experienced players and mixing in the young guys. But there's going to be less of the young guys integrating, I feel, as we move forward. I know Agnelli was talking about 8 guys a season, whatever, and I was like, that's crazy. We are not a step up club, okay? We're not this feeder club. That's not going to be the case, okay? And that's what I'm trying to allude to. We will get back to being the side that picks up quality, experienced players and mix in the young guys that are worthy of challenging for minutes with the first team. Okay. So to name Nonje as a long-term solution, way too soon. Way too soon.
Okay, this that we talked about in the green room, because a lot of stuff now with Houston going to Roma. Some people are like, oh, should he stay? Should he go? Negative impacts. Okay. I think I got to try and word this properly. So I think the next gen has made us, I don't know what it's done to the fans' perception of these young players. I don't know if it's overhyped them in our minds. I'm gonna say our minds because it's me as well. It's you. It's everybody. When you and I were young little followers of Juventus, we didn't have next gen. All these players, we never saw them ever. We just said, oh, we have this one kid who might be good. He's playing Serie C right now with Como or something, right? We never saw these players until they made it to their first team because they would never crack the first team. The past 2 seasons have given these players a chance because of extenuating circumstances with everything last year and this year with the injuries to allow spots for these players to play. And the next gen, I think yesterday, I think Sky Report, he was the 30th next gen player to play at the first team. That's wild.
Yeah.
Well, but the natural course of these players is loans, everybody. Like, once blue moon do these players stay with the first team. The only reason why we have so many now is because of players, eating the wrong can of tuna, players betting, whatever.
It's the finances, man. COVID destroyed us.
And not being able to purchase players to, raise the quality, as Bertle's been saying for months. So I think we need to pull it back a little bit on the expectations. Dean Houston's the guy. He is the guy. He will be on the first team. Yildiz is the guy. He will be there. For me, everybody else is just another young player that is most likely going to be used to bring in money.
It's going to be
raise the quality in other positions.
It's going to be interesting to see what goes down. We are going to talk about the news today. I see Jallo, I see Huijsen coming up, and Anth obviously bringing up Huijsen. I just want to tackle this one from Juve Pulse. Who can replace Nico Lucci in-game if the situation requires? I would think, to me personally, you'd have to bring in another midfielder like Miretti. Rabiot could drop in the hole there, head of the defense if we need. Worst case, you can also slot Danilo in there and make a change at the back, and he could play there in a pinch. So we have a couple guys that could do it in a pinch if requires, all right? Or you go 2-man pivot, McKennie and Rabiot, which I also think can work, but McKennie sketches me out in a 2-man pivot, but that's also a possibility. There's options there. I don't think it'll be dire, and honestly, I expect us to get the job done and be okay without. I want to tackle this one before we talk about the news today. This was a Storm the Barn from Mark 1 saying, Allegri is managing Yildiz time perfectly. Let's not rush the player. He cannot take the responsibility on his shoulders. Speculation. Look at what happened to Vlahovic. What is your opinion? Do you want me to tackle this first, Anthony, or do you want
to? My answer is short. I think he's handling it fine.
You think what, sorry?
I think he's handling it fine, the pressure. Like what do we...
Oh, yeah. And I mean, the rotational minutes as opposed to finally starting and trying to get them is what I'm assuming Mark's alluding to. For me, this is why I say we don't have to reinvent everything with just attempting Yildiz at that Miretti role like he was yesterday. The other thing is we don't have to do it to start a game. We could be 1 goal up, maybe 2 goals up, preferably, and then try it and just see how it goes. That way you're playing with the lead and we could see what happens, right? But I think, and as I stated before, I have absolutely no problems with him just being the substitute to Chiesa and what Allegri's doing right now. And I think if we want to say in general, I've had no problems with how Max Allegri has handled the roster this season. My only thing is I did not like Sandro being immediately reintroduced, okay? Because for me, Rugani deserved to, at bare minimum, be ahead of Alexandro. I didn't like that,
Mhm.
and I do feel Illing Jr. could have got more minutes. Outside of those two things, I think Max has handled it perfectly. All right? That's my 2 cents anyways.
Fully agree.
Now, the news today. Dean Huijsen is one of them. Heading to Roma. Okay, so no move to Frosinone. He's going to head to Roma. We get Cherubini in return. And a deal that's apparently going to go down to 2027, I believe, is what Romeo Agresti reported. And a 50% sale-on clause for the player. So when we do move Cherubini, 50% going to Roma. And yes, it was a 2027 deal. He's going to head to next gen. That was reported by Nico Skira. Sorry.
But Houston is just a 6-month dry loan?
Huijsen is going there for a loan. Yes. So it's essentially like, hey, we'll give you this player. We want him on loan. Don't send him to Frosinone. But the player wanted Roma as well. What's everybody's thoughts on him going to
Win-win.
Roma as opposed to Frosinone?
So I wasn't sure if where, because
There
this
is
was a
no
turn
buy option, nothing on Huijsen. Like nothing. It's just loan.
Yeah, this was a bit of a U-turn because he wanted to go to. It was the player's will to go to Rome.
Yeah,
which was reported this morning, which is a bit of a change in pace, which is fine. You know, I wasn't sure how much playing time he was going to get in Frosinone. Apparently, he may get some in Roma because of one of their main players, going to African Nations Cup coming up here. So
he'll get.
I don't know who
should get some minutes there with Indica heading over there. But
there you go.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
Is it a toxic environment? Maybe, but I mentioned in our group chat this morning. Gatti will just slap that shit out of him when he comes back in June. He'll be fine. Like they're not gonna. This kid's been a professional since he was 12 years old, so I'm not that concerned about. This isn't his first time in a big boys locker room. He'll be fine.
Man, I'm looking at this and like, for me personally, I would have preferred Frosinone. I get multiple competitions with Roma and whatnot. I question the atmosphere there, to be honest. I look at the roster too. I don't know. The pitch concerns me. I don't want Dean getting hurt. That pitch is brutal. I don't know. I would have preferred Frosinone. I think he would have actually gotten more minutes potentially at Frosinone despite Roma being in multiple competitions. However, if he gets his minutes at Roma, hopefully things go well. I don't think this is the be-all, end-all. Like, I don't think all of a sudden now we're losing him. He's going to all of a sudden be lured into Roma. I don't really have that fear that some fans do. I think, honestly, it came down to Mourinho. And, you know, a kid gets a call. No disrespect to Eusebio Di Francesco of Frosinone, but you're going to call from Mourinho. We know which one holds more weight, right? And to be honest, maybe a status thing played into this, you know? Going to loan on Frosinone, going to loan at Roma. Yeah, maybe he just, you know, it could be a status thing too. Or maybe Mourinho did promise him a ton of those minutes, you know?
There you go. Dave jumped in. They have 2.5 defenders left. Appreciate it. Yeah, so he'll be getting playing time. Are they in a European competition? I have no idea what goes on with other teams. I don't really care.
Yeah, are they still they're in European play still. But I don't know. I don't know. The Roma thing. And
I'm not worried about it. I think it's a great move.
Is what it is. We got a youngster. He's got a 50% sale-on clause. Who knows what's going to happen with Cherubini? We'll just wait and see. Thiago Giallo. That's a move Juve apparently is trying to hijack from Inter. That was other news today. He had a deal confirmed to head to Inter at season's end. All right. And then now we're pushing. We're pushing for Thiago Giallo. It's being reported. Obviously, this kind of would seal the fate of Sandro. The fact that any move would have to seal the fate of Sandro for this season is absolutely fucking mind-blowing, okay? But
it's
nonetheless, picking up this guy. And the thing with Jallo is the versatility, because if in fact we're slow playing, trying to move into something different next season, he does play center back and fullback. All right. So Jallo, there's a little bit of flexibility there, but it's a very, very cheap deal. Just looks like a utility type coverage move. Okay. And I think it just comes down to not banking on some of these guys. DeScilio, hey, that bet's still hanging on. Right now I'm hanging on by a thread. Okay. But again,
that's
we'll
going to
wait
be a winner
and see what happens. But stealing deals from Inter is always great, no matter who the player is. Let's be serious. But they picked up a Canadian, Dejan Buchanan, going to Inter there. He's now dead to me. So men's Canadian national team, find somebody else, because he's dead to me.
Stop it. You are a son of a bitch. Just
Yeah.
leave him alone. Good for the kid. I'm happy for Dejan. Good for him. Hopefully he gets some minutes.
No, I'm not happy for him. Hopefully he gets whatever minutes. They suck, and maybe he scores a bunch of own goals. So, yeah. Marco, and I know that we do not give a talk of Inter, but what is your opinion on? Okay, so we were just literally talking. If I'm being serious, it's a good pickup. It's a cheap deal. Mm-hmm. It's like a 10 million deal, and honestly, the guy's versatile. Winger, wing back, he could cover as well. Left and right from Buchanan, although predominantly right side. It's a good pickup. Let's just say what it is. Marotta is good at finding bargains, and it's good. But for me, he's dead to me. So,
would you have taken him at? Would you have taken him on Juventus right now?
His name came up a lot in the summer, and there was a bunch of us saying, "Yeah, we would have brought him in for that right wing back role / winger." We ended up picking up Weah, but his name was brought up in the summer, and I said, yeah, I would have, for sure. But is what it is. Would you have?
Yeah, well, if we had Way as well, it wouldn't work. He'd be eighth.
No, exactly, one or the other. But when
one or the other,
yeah.
For me, I think it would have been 6.5 dozen. Buchanan or Way, I think.
Exactly.
I think Way has been fine.
They're guys that are flexible, play the same roles across, except Weah had fullback experience at Lille, where Buchanan didn't. It's strictly wing back, further up, or winger, right? So, but yeah, it is what it is. Tejan, though, in all honesty, it is a good piece of business for Inter, but absolutely hate the fact that he's gone there, and he will no longer exist for me for his tenure at that team. So, men's Canadian national side, figure it out. Outside of rumors and transfer things, whatnot, we do got to say it was a year ago today we lost one of my absolute favorite players ever, Gianluca Vialli.
Has it been a year already?
Yeah, and when I first started watching Juventus, the trident was Ravanelli, Vialli, and Baggio. And there's not enough that can be said about this guy, but my earliest memories of Juventus were Vialli. And that's why I have always held him so friggin' high, beyond the absolute bangers he would score. All his goals were absolute bangers, it felt like. Guy was just a beast. And he was the only guy I've ever seen that was able to rock a bald head with just the little sharp chops. Nothing else, just the sharp chops. There's this guy.
I tried it.
He was you tried that?
Probably, yeah. Didn't work.
He was unreal, man. Vialli was an absolute beauty, but yeah, it's been a year, so obviously, it sucks every time it comes up for me, because those are my earliest memories of you. What's your earliest memory of Juve?
Well, earliest memory of Juve? Oh, how much time do we have here? Earliest one would probably be... What's that?
Omer Savori?
I remember the Heinzel disaster. I remember that. So that would probably be my earliest memory. I do remember mid 80s, right? We didn't have a lot of options to get access to the team back then, even late 80s, early 90s, right? They only show a certain amount of games on TV. You need the specialty channels. Even then, it was it was a mess. But probably the late '80s, watching them play. Yeah, I remember nearly buying a house. That's pretty funny when Justin, son of a bitch. I was on the bench when they invented the club.
They kicked you off. They were like, "Hey, man, we got to talk."
I was just sitting there minding my own business, and they kicked me off the bench.
They're like, "Take your damn ham sandwich out of here so we can get to business here."
It was
eating lunch.
So I was just on my lunch break. But yeah, it would be like the late '80s when Milan had that juggernaut, right? 88, 89, 90. So
I went back recently and started watching some of the games out of the 80s because I wanted to.
And where do you watch those again?
So I go to footballia.net or .eu, either one of them. But fantastic site. It's free. It's got all the games archived. I started dipping back into the 80s because I wanted to see way more of Shirea. And that's what I started watching. Just because ever since Bettega came on the show and I was like, explain to me like Juventus in a player, like who embodies Juventus too. And he said Gaetano Shirea for me will always be Juventus. If you say Juventus, I automatically think Shirea. And yeah, the guy was just unreal, man. Like I started watching these games and just like Bettega said on the interview, like ahead of his time, you could see it. The guy was ridiculous. So clean, so strong, both ends of the pitch too. It's been fun to watch those games. And a lot of other players too that you hear about. You never got to see like Cabrini. Watching him go, just great stuff. Of course, Platini, because that was well before I started watching, okay? But it's fantastic. So definitely recommend checking out that site and going through some of the archive games. It's brilliant, okay? Now, we are going to wrap things up with heading into this weekend, round 19, okay? And I see another Storm the Barn question. We could probably tackle it real quick. But Salernitana again. Yes, you're going to see a big change. We talked about this. Salernitana, I was shocked, didn't even play Simi, okay, who is down to like third string almost naturally, and he still didn't even get in there. They are going to be going at whatever they can on Sunday, even one point, because where they are in the standings is crucial for them. They need every single point because
I didn't
Coppa Italia
dead ass last.
What were they going to do in Coppa Italia realistically? Make a run and win the cup? Probably not. So in the table, they are at 12 points. Empoli ahead of them on 13, Cagliari on 14, Verona on 14, and Sassuolo's only got 16 too. Every single point in Serie A is critical for this team. Yep. I'm not shocked that I was shocked a guy like Simi didn't even play, but Inzaghi was saving absolutely everybody for Sunday. And they're also at home on Sunday, not away from home. They're going to be giving it everything they have. Juve cannot get their heads swelled up over what happened yesterday. And they got to treat it completely different. But I still want them to be on the front foot and go after this one and kill it. This one has to be a victory. Talked about Juventus in general this month. Has to be a clean slate, all victories to keep that pressure on Inter. Mm-hmm. We know Inter's feeling it. Their players are telling us every chance they get. Love it. Mm-hmm. Love it, by the way. Okay? Big draw for them. Well, for us, that they drew Genoa, who's becoming a tough cookie. This weekend, though, Inter's playing Verona at home. That's going to be a victory for Inter. We can't slip up. I expect us to take it to Salernitana this Sunday as well. Now, last Storm the Barn, but if you have some, keep firing away because I could tackle some in the green room and whatnot. Looking at the talent we have with our youngsters, do you still think we need to buy a good, experienced player in the winter mercado? I think we do. So we talked about this a little bit earlier on the show, and
yes,
there's a lot of options for Max. And to be honest, if it isn't a Sudakov or a Samardzic, I'm honestly not that interested, and I think we have enough to get the job done. The question is consistency with certain guys and if certain guys can deliver. But I think Max has a lot of options with the players we have. And we may only be one small tweak away involving Phenom Yildiz from a breakthrough. There's been a lot of people that have been saying this for a while. What Juve's doing with the cortomuso, all this, it's unsustainable. But I said, here's the flip side. It only feels that way because you have a team that's only scoring 1 goal for every 8 shots. You have a team that's got like 12 to 13% conversion rate. You have a team that has the most big chances missed in the league. I said, the flip side to feeling like this is unsustainable is feeling that if this team all of a sudden hits that next gear of scoring goals, it could be lights out. And then we'd be extremely dangerous. And you don't think if we start bagging 2-3 goals consistently, even 2 goals consistently, things don't get a hell of a lot easier and Inter starts feeling even more heat from us? Oh, yeah, for sure.
We need more 2-0 leads. If we get a little bit more 2-0, I'd like to see us with some more 2-0 leads.
Yeah. Yesterday,
what this team does.
We had 6 big chances and scored 4 of them.
Yeah.
Like, if in most games, we get minimum 3 big chances. If you're bagging at that percentage 2 out of those 3, everybody, that's making life way more comfortable for Juventus. Yep. Okay, but the fact of the matter is we've gone through games missing all 3 of those big chances. Yep. I'm telling you,
having to score
it's going to be all good. But you guys, we got a beautiful game to enjoy yesterday. It's Friday. It's a victory Friday. The mood is great. I rocked one of my favorite kits. Okay. Sul Campo. What the fuck? Sul Campo. Man.
Hey, you're on the wrong side. Things.
Yeah. Sul Campo, you guys. Love it. Speaking of Sul Campo, cortomuso, all this. You guys, 24% off everything in the merch store. Thank you to everybody who's picked up. I got the cart rolling too. Oh, man. You're going to pick some stuff up. Might do some giveaways for members, as that's another way to support. We thank you for any way you choose to support us, all right? Big thanks. But yes, take advantage of the 24% off everything. New cortomuso, new Del Piero art piece design. The hoodies are so sick. I'm a sucker for hoodies. Beautiful Del Piero design there. New AJC stuff. Check it out. Show some love. Or don't. It's good either way, okay? I'm fine with it. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, but share the content. If you saw some interesting pieces in this show, hey, feel free to clip it. I know some have asked, hey, am I okay clipping it? I don't care. Clip whatever you want. Share it.
Matrix.
We love it.
Do whatever you want.
Thank you for all your support. And look at that. Justin even went ahead gifting a membership, all right? So big thanks to awesome. Justin, all right? Massive stuff. We love that. And thank you, everybody. Have a great weekend. We're going to talk on Sunday. I'll give you a news report tomorrow. Then Sunday, we'll do the match day preview. And then I'll rock a live watch along, all right? Nice. So take care, everybody. Until the next one, when we pump Salernitana again, it's always fino alla fine, forza Juventus. Ciao, everybody.
Yeah.